What's up? My name is Casey, and this is the Oracle Podcast. And today we have back on our excellent guest from Kuyon Reader, Brandon. How's it going, Brandon?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
Oh, it's always good. It's always good to talk about some nerdy stuff, and it's always good to be on the podcast with you. Today we have two, or more like one and a half big props. You didn't happen to catch a Night of the Seven Kingdoms in between when we talked earlier, did we? No.
No, I wanted to,
It's
but
it's really
my
good.
television was not plugged in yet. Still is not plugged in, so.
I completely understand. I might talk about that a little bit, but maybe we can talk about that more in depth next week when we end up doing the finale and doing that whole thing. But yeah, we kind of have one and a half big prophecies, which is the Percy Jackson season 2, episode 7, with the finale coming out tomorrow. We're going to do a little bit of a pre-show talking about that and the changes that they've made and kind of some of our expectations for the finale. And then we're going to talk about our expectation, or excuse me, about the extended editions from the Lord of the Rings and just in general chat about those for a little bit. And then I have a surprise for Brandon for the end of the podcast. So that will kind of be the last segment, is my little bit of a surprise for Brandon. But before we hop too far into things, thank you guys so much for listening. And be sure to check out Brandon and I on TikTok. And be sure to drop us a subscribe and a follow, because it really does help out people. More people find the podcast and more people find us on TikTok and everything like that. So we'll roll on into the episode from there. Brandon, what did you think about the Percy Jackson and the Olympians season 2, episode 7?
On the whole, I have to say, episode 7, I think the execution was pretty good. I mean, building on what we've already previously stated with the changes to certain characters. As far as storyline, I feel like they're kind of full steam ahead. I like how they did see episode 7.
Yeah. Do you? So I've been in a little bit of hot water about this, because I apparently am the only one who likes the ending to the Book of the Sea of Monsters. I posted a TikTok about that today. No, I think it was yesterday, actually. And all of the comments on it were like, "You are the only person who likes the ending to the Sea of Monsters." And maybe it was just because I have a lot of nostalgia about it, because it was the Percy Jackson and the Olympians book that came out when I was starting to read at this level. And I read it, and I was waiting for the Titans Curse to come out after it, so I read and reread it. But
Hmm.
I really do love the end of the Sea of Monsters. It leaves you on such a cliffhanger, and the way that the fight with Percy and Luke on the Princess Andromeda, and Percy tricking Luke into revealing that he was the one who poisoned Thalia's tree, and all of that was always such a wonderful thing, because it reminded me so much of the times when Odysseus tricks the suitors in the Odyssey. And it reminded me of that parallel again. And immediately after reading the Sea of Monsters, I got really into the Odyssey and that sort of thing. So it was kind of just this big build up into that. But a lot of people do not like the ending to A Sea of Monsters. How do you feel about it?
I didn't have an issue with it. Should I have had an issue with it? I don't. I don't see any kind of. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I think that the way that they ended it in the book is awesome. But lots of people think that the way that the party ponies show up is kind of goofy, and they don't really like the kind of mystery that they set up at the end of it. So a lot of people are really excited about this change that they made to take the battle off of the Princess Andromeda and move it into camp and make it a bigger scale battle instead of just a one-on-one sword fight between Percy and Luke.
I can get what they were going for, but I probably liked the book a little better. Maybe just because, it's my original source. Like if the show was the first thing I was watching, maybe.
Hmm.
But I feel like the one-on-one with them is very important. I feel like sometimes the bigger picture isn't so necessary. But I mean, I can kind of see both ways. I think they both work in their own ways.
I think so too. I think that the ending to the show is going to be good. Like I'm really excited to see this next episode, and the finale is going to be awesome. For audio only listeners, there is that there a cat has appeared, and Brandon's screen. She wants to have, or they want to have their
Yeah,
word.
he's special guest star who was apparently hiding in my room. I didn't know he was here.
We have a special guest star. What's it?
His name is Baba Yaga. because he's the boogeyman.
Ah, yes, the
Because he pops out
boogeyman.
of nowhere like he just did.
Goodbye, John Wick. It was great to see you. Um, um, but I really am really excited about this ending. I think that they are setting it up to absolutely stick the landing. A few points that some people made to me about why they are more excited for this ending is that the fact that Luke is going to have to go home to camp and have to be confronted by a bunch of campers who he put in danger. Like, obviously, there's the Iris message in the original version, but this will be a much more
Yeah.
personal, like a much more personal attack and confrontation of them, and it's going to be a lot more personal and a lot more real for Luke. One argument that I have against it is it kind of cheapens what happens in the Battle of the Labyrinth. Like, that is the first time that camp is really like attacked on a full big scale, and that kind of makes it a little bit
Yeah.
less.
They didn't. It takes the build up out. It takes a lot of punch out of it, really.
Yeah, because that is the first real point where, like, obviously there's the threat of them bringing a large scale force into it in this one because the barrier is being weakened and stuff. But we never see Camp Half Blood actually face a large scale force and a large scale invasion until the Battle of the Labyrinth. I'm talking myself into not liking this the more I talk about it. But I really am really excited to see the last episode, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. But narratively, I am talking myself into liking it less. I do feel like they might be slightly falling into the Game of Thrones thing where they want a battle at the end of every season. Like, they want every season to end with a big battle. And I
Yeah.
think that this season may have been, it
Higher
may have been
visual
better.
stakes.
Yeah, but I feel like this season may have been better spent with that mono a mono with Luke. But again, what do I know?
I agree. And we've discussed this before. It's the transition from written word to a visual medium where people talking one-on-one battles with a lot of exposition, they just don't hit, especially when you're trying to hook a new audience, because you're not trying to, tell the story just for the people who know the story. You're trying to tell it to new people as well. And so I get it. I'm kind of like you. The more I'm thinking about it, the less I'm liking it. So I'm trying not to think about it
Yeah, I'm trying to just enjoy it and have fun with it.
because my hype gauge is kind of starting to do this, and I'd rather, I'd rather full throttle it.
Yeah. Another thing that is kind of interesting is Percy is more of he's not like Darrow where he is going to spout a full on monologue at somebody before he sword fights them. He's more of like a quipper, like Spider Man. Like, he's gonna have
Yeah,
some fun quips and some
witty
takes.
one-liner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's not going to talk about how he trained all like he spent the whole rest of the summer last summer training and trying to get as good as Luke because he was
Yeah, there's
scared.
no Roman senator speeches.
Yes, yes. But that is a big plot point at this point in the books is that Percy is shown to be almost equivalent to Luke in a sword fight at this point, and that was a
Hmm.
big plot point from last year when Percy was not an equal to Luke. He was really good, but he was not an equal to Luke last year, and so it's meant to show this character progression from Percy becoming a good swordsman and great when he was in contact with water, but into a great swordsman alone, like in any circumstance.
Yeah, and I feel like by the end of book two, maybe mid into book three, he gets more of a accepting of his responsibility. I feel like, he grasps the whole, the concept of what's happening and the stakes. I guess the stakes become a lot more real by the end of book two to me. Like I feel like in book two, like when he gets on the Princess Andromeda for the first time and he's like, oh, whoa, like this dude's got a whole army of monsters.
Yeah,
And I know that in the book, the humans on the ship were like zombies at that point. He didn't have all his camper people yet in the books, as far as I remember, correct?
yeah. So he had some demigods, but not near as many, and that's another point that I want to talk about a little bit later. But I'll let you finish your point first.
Okay, yeah. But, just, I guess maybe stepping into more of a leader type role. Becoming Luke, becoming what Luke was at the camp before, they lost Luke. Now he's trying to become that kind of main male camper.
Yeah, he's trying to become the protagonist at camp, which he really. This book is about Percy realizing that he can't always be, which I'm gonna talk myself and hype myself up about the book again and why the book is so great. But it's about Percy realizing that he's not the hero, which I don't want to spoil too much, but that becomes a huge thing later in the series,
Hmm.
that Percy is not always the hero, and
Yeah.
it's yeah. The I'm just realizing some things more, that like this book and next book really set some things up later in the series to come back and make it pretty obvious about what Rick Riordan was trying to do at this point. But I'll talk about that later on in the series, because I'm trying to spoil a little bit less. I'm trying to
Yeah.
do less spoilers in these episodes, but again, it's really hard not to. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about is there are a lot more at this point named campers of the Olympian gods on Luke's crew than we are ever introduced to in the books. And
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts on that, because that is another complaint that a lot of people have had, is that in the books it is said that Luke's crew is mostly comprised of children of the minor gods or unclaimed
Yeah.
campers in from the Hermes cabin. And in this show, we have at least an Aphrodite kid who has the ability to charm speak, which I want to talk about later at some point. I want to talk about him and his ability to charm speak. But we also have the other gal whose name I cannot remember, Allison,
Hmm.
who is believed to be a child of Apollo. So I think it's
Yeah, and
said that she's
doesn't
a child.
exist.
Yeah, and those two characters are both new for the series. So I just want to know your thoughts on them.
I wasn't a huge fan. I feel like there were enough characters in the books themselves to kind of carry in. And I remember watching the first few episodes and they were talking about Chris Rodriguez, and I'm like, wait a minute. He becomes a player in the books, but not until a lot further into the books. I'm trying so not to spoil things, but as you know, you've read all the books. It
You
kind
know
of
what?
negated his
Spoilers.
whole argument.
Spoilers. We're doing spoilers. Let's just talk about the spoilers.
Yeah, well,
Spoilers
so
for the
like
rest of the series. Yeah,
it's kind of but his motivations are clear in the book and they're just not as clear in the show. That's the
yeah,
least
and
spoilerish I can be with it, to the point of his biggest complaints aren't really complaints in the show itself to me,
yeah,
because he seems to be in a position of power, like he's a dude people listen to. He's not a child of a minor god that nobody takes seriously. Everybody's taking him seriously.
yeah. The other thing that a lot of people have an issue with is, like you said, how like Luke doesn't seem to have as valid of an argument, because it isn't shown at this point to a like Luke's argument doesn't seem to be as valid at this point. But another argument is that we have all of these supplemental characters who are children of minor gods who could have introduced, as opposed to this Apollo girl or this kid from Aphrodite. I do, however, love the kid from Aphrodite, and let me tell you why. I think that it would be incredibly smart, like if there was a young man who did not fit typical gender roles in the Aphrodite cabin, he would probably feel ostracized by Aphrodite, because we know that Piper kind of experiences something similar to that in the Heroes of Olympus series, and especially in the
Hmm.
Trials of Apollo series, that's kind of fleshed out more. But if there was someone like that who had the ability to charm speak, Luke would definitely try to recruit them to his team, because for those of you who haven't read into the Heroes of Olympus series, charm speak is this ability to lace your words with a little bit of magic that some Aphrodite kids have, and to be able to convince people to do what you want. And some people are more powerful than it with others, and they're like varying degrees of it. But it does seem like this Aphrodite kid does have some ability to charm speak, because he convinces the dock master to let them park the Princess Andromeda at this little dock that is not meant to support them.
I've always been reminded of Charmspeak when I watched Umbrella Academy. Did you ever watch Umbrella Academy?
I love Umbrella Academy. It's one of my favorites. Season
So
2 is the
she,
best season ever.
so she pretty much has Charmspeak, only she has to say, "I heard a rumor," but she does the same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's
hers is
it's a
maybe
lot
a
like
little more powerful than regular Charmspeak, but it's the same basic premise.
yeah,
That
yeah.
she's urging you with her power to do what she's telling you to do. So
Piper. Piper is like the most powerful example of it that we get in the books and stuff, where she is able to, like, at the end of Heroes of Olympus, she is able to influence like huge crowds of monsters to do what she wants, and she has some other really powerful feats as well. She becomes really powerful with it, but like there's another character who is introduced at the beginning of that series who is not nearly as powerful as she is, but she has a little bit of charm speaks. There's varying degrees
Hmm.
of power with it.
Yeah.
And I think that he is a great example because he hints at something that happens in the something that we don't find out about until the fourth or fifth book. We kind of another and again I'm trying not to spoil too much here, but that there's a plot point that gets revealed in the fifth book that is very heavily hinted at by his involvement
Hmm.
with Luke's crew. So that's all the more spoilers that I want to talk about with that. But I do kind of like the fact that there are some children of the major gods. I still wish that we got some children of the minor gods, but I do kind of like the fact that there are children of the major gods in Luke's crew as well, because it adds a little bit of nuance to it. It shows that some kids from the major gods still feel ostracized because their parents haven't been like the Olympians haven't been great parents to their kids either. They've been ignoring
No.
them. They haven't been claiming all of their kids. Like there's some nuance there. So I do kind of like that, but I definitely understand everyone's arguments with it, and I do see how it definitely weakens Luke's point about them being an army of children of the minor gods. But again, neither here nor there.
I feel like, and this is building on what we've discussed before, they're taking more of the black and white of the story and mixing the gray in between.
Yeah,
With the children of the major gods are now players. Because, in the books, if your parent was a major god, you would never stand against them. And I get that, they're kind of taking the YA out of it. They're going for a more mature storyline, which I can kind of get, but then at the same time, I kind of just want what I know.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I definitely get it.
but on the whole, it's still really good. It's still a great adaptation. So I'll give them that.
I had so much fun watching this episode. I was cheering, I was whooping, I was hollering, especially when the charm speak got mentioned, when Clarice took on the five kids at once, when Percy called Annabeth
Hmm.
wise girl. Like there were so many moments in this episode that felt specifically tailored to make fans of the books very happy. And so
Hmm.
I had so much fun watching this episode that it's hard for me to have anything like to say anything really really bad about it because I just had so much fun watching it. And it's not
It
exactly,
was. It was a great episode.
yeah, it had me the blue Prius showing up at this point in the story. I'm being so loud in the microphone, I'm so sorry. The blue Prius showing up at this point in the series is so hype. For those of you who have read further into the books, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's a blue Prius that becomes very important later in the story, and
Yeah, yeah.
we get to see it here. So I'm excited about that. What else is there? Sally Jackson. It's always good to get more Sally Jackson.
Yeah, yeah. She hits a lot harder in the show. Like she's great
Yeah,
in the
she
book,
does.
but she's great in the book as a presence almost more than anything else.
Yeah,
Like she's not actually present like she is in the show.
yeah, and she's there in the show, and she absolutely shines. I mean, her dialogue with her dialogue with Percy from the first season is incredible. Them talking or like her comparison to Perseus and his mother is incredible. All of it is amazing, and so I do absolutely
Hmm.
love her and her ability to absolutely steal any scene that she's in.
She is. She's good. I always felt like when I was reading the books that like Rick Riordan kind of was like, I'm gonna take the stuff I didn't like about the Harry Potter series and kind of turn it on its head. Like because she's almost the equivalent of the Dursleys, right? Like in the books, you really only get her at the beginning and the end,
Yeah,
for the most part. But it's the opposite where he goes home and he's, chided and abused. She's the
yeah.
opposite. She's nurturing and welcoming and
Loves
then,
and adores
like
him, and yeah, and is always there, and yeah,
I always make bad guy. I mean, it makes me sound like a bad guy and I get all kinds of hate, but I always tell people when I'm like, you should read the Percy Jackson books. And they're like, well, what's it about? I'm always like, well, if you really liked Harry Potter, imagine the main character if he had a backbone. and a big mouth.
Yeah,
And that's nothing against Harry Potter. He just he kind of whines about his circumstances a lot in the book.
yeah. This is one of my. I love Harry Potter. I have the most adorable picture of me. I have several signed copies of Harry Potter books. I love Harry Potter.
See, I do too. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bad mouthing Harry Potter in any way, shape, or form. But
I badmouth Harry Potter more than anyone because they're bad. Like I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but
it's hard not to.
the Gringotts spankers are a incredibly offensive allegory for a certain minority that
Yes,
is
absolutely,
that
absolutely.
for it's I, like that's the most egregious thing that anyone has ever put to writing, and the way that she handles groups of magical creatures, again, I love Harry Potter. I grew up on Harry Potter. I probably do a yearly read through of it, but man, there are parts of the Harry Potter series that really, really bother me. And Rick Riordan doesn't do that stuff. Like
No,
he he takes the abusive parent out in the first book. Like he doesn't send Percy home to live with an abusive parent every year because they get turned into stone. Like I would recommend people read Percy Jackson over Harry Potter
yes,
10 times out of 10, but I have a
I
nostalgic place in
agree.
my
I
heart for
concur,
Harry Potter.
100%.
Yeah. On to the next point, because I do fear that we might get some hate for this, but you know what, you gotta have hot takes now and then.
Why are you watching a Percy Jackson podcast if you expect us not to put Percy at number one?
Yeah, Percy Jackson is the number one protagonist. There are probably others. Darrow's probably up there. There are probably some others that are up there pretty high, but I love Percy, man. I think that Percy's amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Any
Absolutely.
other points from this episode that you want to talk about, or talk about the series? I apologize. I do have one more thing to say. That one of my commenters on one of my TikToks this week pointed out how this series is going to be very symmetrical. So we started off the first two episodes go. We start the episode where we go to camp, and then we get on to the Princess Andromeda at the end of the second episode. And these last two episodes, we get
Hmm.
off of the Princess Andromeda and we go to camp. So it's very symmetrical, and it takes four episodes. Like getting the fleece is very nicely centered in the middle there. So their adventures in the Sea of Monster, and it is a beautiful illustration of how the return journey is just as arduous as the journey to get to them. And I feel like that is a great illustration of what the Odyssey is, what a journey is the return journey can be just as difficult. So I thought that that was very cool.
I agree because the Odyssey is entirely the return journey in its own
Yeah,
way.
yeah, it's a 6 year journey that should have taken 4 days,
Yeah,
or a 20-year journey, but you know what I mean.
and it can be boiled down to what did we learn? Don't anger Poseidon,
Yeah, don't make Poseidon mad. Don't mess with Poseidon's Cyclops children, which,
especially not if you're planning on going across the ocean.
yeah. Or you're not also a child of Poseidon.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait for the finale. I think the finale is going to be great.
I can't wait for the finale.
Optimistic.
And it got announced that the new season is coming out in December of this year. So season 3 is coming out.
Yeah.
So we're getting such a close turnaround. I'm super excited about that. And we have some live chats from the Iron Tyrant. He is one of my absolute homies from on TikTok. He comes and watches all of my lives and stuff on TikTok. Yeah, he says that Sally cutting her phone conversation with Grover right to the point is amazing, and Potter is a plot hole filled story, and its creator's actions and what she does to groups in these books. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Iron Tyrant. It's honestly a shame to see like what she does in those stories to the house elves, to the to the again. We could go over this for an hour, but
Yeah.
let's stick to talking about good stories with good representation in them. Any last points?
No, I think we covered most of it. I'm ready for the finale now. What are we tomorrow, right? Today's Tuesday. This week
Yes.
has been
Tomorrow.
crazy.
No, my week has been, as you can probably tell, we're recording this on Tuesday, and we normally like to record on Sundays. Our recording has kind of just gotten pushed back and pushed back just through personal life stuff on my end last night, and I was just so. We're glad that you're here watching live with us, Iron Tyrant. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
hanging out. But on to the next point. So we are going to discuss the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, and we're going to talk about the differences. Do we want to? We could probably talk about one at a time, honestly, and talk about like the differences one at a time, and because
Yeah, I
there
could
is
sit
enough
here for
difference.
hours.
Yeah, let's just talk about Fellowship this time, and we can kind of spread this out to a 3-part series. And maybe if anyone else, if we might have more guests next episode, potentially. We might have one of Brandon's buddies, and then one of my other friends might also come on Sunday. So we might have a 4-person panel to discuss the finale and some other things next time. But for now, let's just talk about the Fellowship of the Rings Extended Edition. What are some of the changes or additions that they made to the Extended Edition that you like about the Fellowship of the Rings?
The story set up, even from the jump, there's more exposition into hobbits and the world. And I remember seeing the first movie in the movie theaters, like the day it came out. My brother took me to see it actually, and it was the theatrical version. And then, of course, I have every copy. I have the original extended editions in a sleeve that looks like books. I have the Blu-ray editions. I don't really know how to watch anything but the extended editions now.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're lengthy. I was shocked at the amount of emotional weight they still held, because for background, I took my son to see them in the movie theaters this weekend. They did Fellowship of the Ring on Friday, The Two Towers on Saturday, Return of the King on Sunday. And even in the first movie, he was like, it's like I'm watching it for the first time, even though I've seen it a billion times, because I forced him to watch it a billion times. But
Yeah.
he's 11 now, so he's looking at it with fresh eyes, and he was enjoying himself a lot. Just things like the trolls get mentioned. You get to see the troll statues in the extended editions.
Yeah.
It's more fun. It's more story. Kind of like we said about Percy Jackson, it's better in a series, but with the extended editions, at least you get, 30, 45 extra minutes of footage and things that if you watch the theatrical editions, sometimes they don't make a ton of sense without the extra clips, and they just have everything has a little more weight to it because there's just more story. And I love those movies. And, I'm sitting in the theater with my son, and I've seen these movies 50 times. We watch them multiple times a year. And things like, just random thoughts, like I'm thinking about the power of the ring, right? And it's this all powerful, mind clouding thing. I mean, the journey from the Shire to Rivendell, even, which was, a couple days, a week at most. And I get that Frodo was wounded and that didn't help, but when you sit down and you think about it, they mention it in the movie. Bilbo had that ring for 60 years and was still a relatively normal, not Gollum level psychopath about the ring. Like he had his little ticks, you'd see him be like, oh, okay, but
Yeah.
for the most part,
See him reach up and make sure that it's in his pocket every once in a while.
yeah. And so it's kind of like, I feel like not enough credit was given to him to be able to handle it for as long as he did.
No,
Just a random thought. I have 1,000 random thoughts about those movies, and I won't go into every single one of them, but they're so timeless. Like the way Peter Jackson was able to do, just size comparisons and using, smaller people as stunt doubles, and then knowing all the goofy nonsense from behind the scenes. I know from like watching the appendices, the being like I know that John Rhys Davies, who plays Gimli, is really tall in real life, so he was naturally taller than all the Hobbit actors, so they didn't have to use size comparison shots with them because he was just naturally like a foot and a half taller. And just goofy stuff like that. And, we're watching The Two Towers, when Aragorn kicks the helmet, and I'm like,
yeah.
hey, Lincoln, did you know that that scream is real? Because he broke his toes, And it's just kind of like...
The classic.
Yeah. And when they first get to, let's see, when they're trying to get to the Prancing Pony and they're walking down the street and you see the dude chewing the carrot, I'm like, hey, Lincoln, that's Peter Jackson. That's the
Peter
director.
Jackson. He's chewing a carrot.
Yeah. And he's like, who? Who's? I don't know who Peter Jackson is. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But you do
He's
now.
he's an alter ego of Percy Jackson. He's one of the names that Dionysus calls Percy
Yeah.
Jackson. um,
Peter Johnson, Peter
Peter
Jackson,
Johnson,
everything.
Peter
Yeah.
Johansson.
But yeah, no, it was a great time. And I think they're playing again this weekend for anybody interested.
Yeah, I think they are as well. That they're at least playing it in the AMC that's close to me again this weekend. So I might even have to go check it out because it's supposed to be cold and nasty this weekend where I'm at.
Oh
So
yeah.
we're supposed to get a bad cold front in. So I'm gonna be looking for something to do inside, and that definitely sounds right up my alley. But another moment that I absolutely love, specifically from Fellowship of the Ring, is when they are leaving for Rivendell and they are walking and they're setting out, and Frodo doesn't know the way to go. He doesn't.
Hmm.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's when they're leaving Rivendell and
Yeah. And he asked him which way is Mordor.
which way to Mordor, and that is just a little scene that probably didn't need to be in the theatrical cut, but it just shows that Frodo really was not prepared for this journey. He was not the one who was. He should not have to take this journey, but he has taken it upon himself, and he has taken the burden and the weight of this journey upon himself, even though he does not know the way. It gives me goosebumps just even thinking about that because
Yeah.
it's such a little scene, but it's so powerful and it holds so much weight. So I just love that.
My my two of my favorite points in the whole movie are both Pippin, and it's the and you know the funny thing is I never realized this, and I've seen these movies. I'm kidding you not, probably 50 times each. But so when they're having the breakfast, and he has his whole second breakfast spiel, and he's like, what about breakfast? We've already had breakfast. Yeah, we've had one, but what about second breakfast? And he does all that.
Yeah.
And so Aragorn throws the apple, and Merry catches it, and he hands it to him, and he looks at the apple, and right as he's looking at it, another one comes and whops him on the head, and he looks up. So cut to the Two Towers, okay? Close to the end of Two Towers.
Hmm.
We've flooded Isengard, right? And he's got his little pantry in the back, which is not in the main cut of the movie.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
love that. That's one of my favorite things in the whole.
right? And then so Mary's like, I'm starving. What am I supposed to eat? And right as he says that, you can see the apples floating up behind him, but they don't see him yet. And then Pip sees the apple, and he picks the apple up, and he looks up, and he's like, and I'm like, I never realized he did that
That's so
until
funny.
I saw it in the theater, and I was like, okay, because the other apple whopped him in the head, so he's
Yeah.
still got a little apple PTSD. He's looking up like, where the heck did this
Okay.
come
Okay.
from?
Where's the second one? I'm ready for it now.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's when he turns around and he sees all the other food and he's like, here we go. But yeah. And so that one, and then my other favorite one is, of course, at the end of the meeting of the fellowship when they come running up and they're like, we're going too. And he hits them with well, you need men of intelligence on this mission
Yeah.
quest thing. And he's like, that rules you out, Pip. And he goes, hey, wait a minute.
Hey,
His,
wait a
his
minute.
facial expressions are so great. Billy Boyd, he's a great actor.
They're both great actors.
Then you get the great, where are we going?
I love the bit where whenever they're talking to the public now, they are always petitioning the actor who plays Aragorn to be buried with him because Merry and Pippin weren't both of them buried with Aragorn in the book lore.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
so.
I think so. Fact check us if we're wrong. But the actors are always petitioning the actor who plays Aragorn to be buried with him in real life. So I think that's always funny. I think that
So the
we'll probably talk about that more in the Return of the King one that we do in a couple episodes. But Fellowship of the Ring is such an amazing movie in general, but the extended edition really is something special. The little moments that it adds, and the weight that it adds, and the immensity of the journey that it carried, like it really makes you feel that they are having to walk all the way to Rivendell and all the way to the mountains, and like it really makes you feel the distances a little bit more. So I really enjoyed that about it as well.
and the action scenes are a little longer.
Yeah.
You get a little more Legolas being Legolas, you know.
Yeah, you get a little bit more Boromir being Boromir.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was just a good time because I had my son with me, and so he was first. He told me I had to shut up. He was like, "Stop quoting, stop," and I'm like,
stop.
I can't help it. It's not something
I
I can turn off."
physically cannot stop.
Yeah, I gets wired in my brain. I'm right here, you know.
I'm a
The
walking.
wizard is never late, nor is
Listen,
he early. You know.
he arrives simply when he means to.
Yeah, I can't. And another thing on the big screen that you don't see on like even on the biggest TVs is just how amazing of an actor Ian McKellen is. How he conveys everything with his face so well.
Yeah, even his like little like smart alegory right there, where he's just
Yeah.
absolutely toying with everyone around him.
Or like the way he drops his eyebrows when he's like, "We're not gonna do that," and you're like, like it's very like you didn't even have to say that, and I knew how you felt.
Yeah, it's I he again. Everyone in that movie are incredible actors and actresses. They're phenomenal.
It was. It's probably. I mean, it's got to be my favorite adaptation. I'm not gonna lie. I can't think of a better adaptation.
No, I can't either. They are so widely beloved for a reason because they just nailed it. Like they absolutely rocked it out of the park.
And the music and the scenery and just like every time I see it, I'm like, why have I not been to New Zealand? I really need to go to New
I
Zealand.
know New Zealand is on my list. It's probably second place on my list just because, yeah,
Yeah,
it's incredibly
it's
beautiful.
definitely up there. Excuse me, sorry,
You're fine.
but it's uh it's a wonderful series, and if you have a chance to see it in the theaters, if you've never seen it in the theaters, you have to.
Yeah, you
Don't
need to
wait
go
for the
watch it.
50th anniversary.
No kidding, man. Well, do you have any more points you wanted to make about Lord of the Rings, or do you want to move on to our last segment, the surprise segment of the?
I'm kind of interested in the surprise segment, so I say we segue into that now.
Okay, so for today's surprise segment, I have a trivia game for you. It is all about the first book in the Red Rising series, and if
Okay.
you get more than half of the questions right, then for those of you who haven't seen it yet, because it's not out yet, so that would be all of you, I am getting ready to put out a little bit of merch. And it is going to be a very limited run. And I showed Brandon the other day the logo for it. The former co-host Blake, he's an incredible artist, and he made the merch logo. But I am so excited to share it with you guys when it is eventually ready to go out on some hoodies and t-shirts. But if you get more than half of the questions right, I will upgrade your free t-shirt that I'm going to be sending you to a sweatshirt.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna dig deep. I feel like I know enough about the book, but you never know. So
I was gonna say I imagine that you'll probably these aren't like the super like I'm not gonna like what's the third word in the fourth paragraph or anything like that,
yeah.
but you should get most if not all of these right, but we'll see. So for the first question in our Red Rising trivia game is which clan always won the laurel?
That is because it's what Lyria is in. Oh, is it Lambda?
No, Lambda is what Darrow is in.
Okay, dang.
The correct answer was Gamma.
Gamma. That's it. Okay, that's one. That's one. My
One
friends
down.
are gonna watch this and be so ashamed of me, being that I'm supposed to be the Red Rising guy.
The Red Rising community is already in an uproar. What are the miners searching for and why?
The fuel. It's fuel for the starships, which is. I should have prepped for this. No, I'm just kidding.
This is why it was a surprise. This is why it was a surprise segment.
Helldiver of Lycos.
I'll give you a hint. It is
It's
something
an,
three.
it's what?
Something three.
It's not mercury. It's like it's an element name.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not hydrogen. It's
You're very close with hydrogen, though.
not nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen's what they use now in real life.
I use so much liquid nitrogen in my day job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later. But yes, I do use a lot of
So if the
liquid nitrogen.
T2000 ever attacks, you got it covered, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm so ashamed of myself right now. Oh, once you say it, I'm gonna be like, it's not carbon,
No,
and it's not helium.
isn't it helium?
Is it helium?
It's helium.
It is. Okay, I'm not crazy. I kept wanting to say hydrogen, but I'm like, no, because hydrogen. Okay, yeah, the helium-3 mines of Lycos.
Yeah, I'll give you a half point for that one.
I'll take it.
Yeah. What does
I should have gone
Mateo?
with my gut because I almost said helium at the beginning.
Yeah. What does Mateo give to Darrow before he leaves for the Institute?
What is he?
What does he give to Darrow before he?
What does he give to him?
Yeah.
He gives him the Hamanthus, doesn't he? The flower
Yeah. He gives him a Pegasus pendant that opens and reveals the
with the
Hamanthus.
Hamanthus in it, which was
Yep.
which was Eos Hamanthus flower.
Yep. You are
Because that's
one and
like
a
the
half.
whole catchphrase of the whole book is the red Hamanthus.
The Hamanthus. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Who exercises with Darrow to help him build muscle?
I'm trying to remember her name because
Give you a
I'm
hint.
so ugh.
She's only in 2 books. Ah, she might
Oh
actually. She might be.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Harmony.
Good
I couldn't
job.
think of. I knew her name was started with an H. Yeah, she's a monster.
Yeah. She's a
I'm not
lot.
gonna say anything else because I don't think you've read the last 3 books. She's in those.
No.
Yeah, she's she's not a good person.
Yeah.
She's very.
Okay then.
See, yeah, because when I said Lyria, you don't even know who Lyria is yet, do you?
No, I don't. I'm still trying to get
Okay,
through.
we got to get you. We
I
got to
know.
get you in these books.
I know. I'm working on Iron Gold. I started Wheel of Time, and I have had a hard time reading Iron Gold after I started that.
Yes, and we can have a whole nother episode about how Rand is the worst main character hero of all time.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that when I get through a little bit more of Wheel of
I'm just
Time.
kidding.
Who wants Darrow to be transformed into a gold, and who does the transforming?
Mickey is the carver.
Hmm.
Darrow only ever meets Dancer, but Ares is the one who wants him to become a gold.
Excellent. That is exactly
I
correct.
see. Now, when I know the answer, I'm going to have to layer it. I'm trying to sound smarter than I am now.
It's all right. Who does Darrow face in the passage?
That would be Cassius's brother, whose name was. Oh, because it's from one of my favorite quotes of Lightbringer, too. And he says, because he's such a sweet, gentle guy.
He was the
God, what was
poet.
his name? Mm-hmm. And it's another Roman name.
Yeah, it is.
It's not Cato. Cato was the other guy. His name was. I
I
want
think that's
half a point for saying Cassius's brother.
you can have half a point. You are now at 6 out of 7. His name was Julian.
Julian. Oh my gosh. We're gonna have to cut all of this out. You know that, right? I have a
yeah,
reputation to uphold.
yeah. We're carving this like we're gonna do a Severo-esque hack job on this footage to make sure
I
that no.
will not give you any spoilers, but I will tell you there's a quote in Lightbringer where Cassius brings up Julian. Or
Mhm.
not Lightbringer. There's a quote later in the books where Cassius brings up Julian, and it's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
I feel like it's
He
one of the
says,
ones that goes around on TikTok, isn't it? Isn't that one of the
"Oh,
ones
it
that?
does. It does."
Yeah,
He says, Julian says that I'm poor because of the company I keep, and he goes, "I feel quite rich now."
yeah.
Or I
Why
was
does
poor then, I'm quite rich now.
Yeah. Why does Darrow target House Apollo and House Jupiter in his campaign?
Because of they tried to kill him, didn't they?
That's
I
that's
know Apollo is the proctors. The proctors. I want to say because he wanted to be House Apollo, I think, but he's House Mars. Huh. I'm just gonna say because they're the strongest houses.
partial credit. The Proctors are helping those houses, and they throw their support. Those 2 houses and their Proctors throw their support behind the Jackal.
Yeah.
So Darrow is trying to get.
AKA Adrius.
Yes.
I know his name.
Yeah. Um, they are trying to. So Darrow is trying to get them kicked off of Olympus so that they can.
Because of
So they
the nepotism.
exactly. Yeah.
Leave it to the Red to not like the nepotism.
The I don't. This is going to be probably the final question. And it's a bonus extra question. What? So there was one member of House Mars who was not drafted. He was not eligible for the draft because he was too important. What did his why or who was he? Why wasn't he eligible for the draft? And what did his mother own?
See, now I got to reread the first book.
It's a 3-part question. And if you get any part of it right, then I will give you credit for it.
So it's got to be Roke.
No, it's not Roke.
It's not Roke.
He is
Because
the
who? What
character
is
that I'm
Mother
talking
own?
about. The character that I'm talking about does not make it through the passage.
Oh, he doesn't make it through the passage?
No, and I honestly can't remember his
Oh,
name either.
I know who you're talking about.
And he was the only one who scored as high as Darrow did on the test. And I can't remember his name.
Yeah, because everybody's shocked that he didn't make it through.
Yeah.
Because it
I
was
can't remember.
Severo that killed him.
Yeah, because it was Severo who got him.
Because they put him up against Severo because they wanted to get rid of Severo, and he wound up winning.
Yeah. Severo ended up whooping up on him. I can't remember his name, so we'll take that question off of the deal. But why was he exempt from the draft? And what does his mother own?
What is so important in the series that it had to be like the dockyard, right?
It's close. It's she owns one of the moons. She owns one of the moons of Mars.
Okay, and then
Or she has like stakes in it. I can't remember if she like completely owns it, but she owns like
she owns like the whole mining rights to it or something.
Something like
She's got
that.
a lot of influence. Yeah, because he was the first one to get drafted, wasn't he? Or he was exempt, but he went straight to Mars because of her.
Yeah. So she did not want him to be drafted because he didn't want one of the other people having influence over, like, she didn't want one of the other.
She didn't want anybody him being used as a pawn.
Exactly. Yeah. She didn't want him going to one of her, like a house that her enemy was the proctor of or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dang, I cannot remember his name.
I can't remember his name either. We'll call it there. Thank you so much for participating in this little quiz show. You did, in fact, earn the upgrade from a t-shirt to a sweatshirt. Be looking forward to that.
Just barely, by the skin of my teeth. I'm so ashamed of myself right now.
I guess it's time to reread Red Rising again. Oh man, what a shame! What a shame! You have to read such a good book again.
I know, and the crazy thing is, that's what I always tell people, is it's like the worst of the series, but it's still a 5-star read.
It really, like, I don't know, man. Iron Gold. I haven't gotten to the end of it yet. I'm like dredging through the middle of it right now. I'm having a hard time.
The thing with Iron Gold is, and this is what I have to tell people all the time, it's all going to make sense. Like, Iron Gold is very important, but it's not, you don't realize its importance until you get into like Dark Age and Lightbringer.
Yeah. I have full faith in Pierce Brown. It's just I am in the dregs of it right now, and it is a little rough at the moment. But I am very excited.
You know, he starts the book off just making everybody mad.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm
I've so many people that have been like, dude, why is Darrow being such a jerk? I don't like this at all. Why are they making him so bad? And it's like, just keep reading. That's what I tell everybody. Just keep reading.
Yeah, you just have to get through it. So I'm excited.
It all comes out in the wash.
Yeah, I'm excited to get through it, and I'm excited to keep reading Wheel of Time. I'm really enjoying Wheel of Time so far. I see some of the problems that people have with it for sure, but I am really enjoying it thus far. The magic system seems very interesting. I'm just kind of getting into that and learning more about the magic system and all of that. But I'm excited to learn more about that, and I'm excited for the season finale of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I didn't even talk about Dunk and Egg. If you guys have not been watching, or if you guys did not watch the season premiere of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO Max, be sure to go watch it because it is incredible. I don't want to spoil too much because you haven't seen it yet, Brandon, but
I read the book, or well, the novella, if that's what you prefer to call it. Is it? I can't wait.
The first episode, at least, is incredibly faithful. You take the opening monologue from the book and like maybe cut out like one sentence, and that's the opening line for the show, and stays incredibly faithful to like it hits the important moments and it expands on it. So like it's a short book already, and the show is fairly short too. It's only 40 minutes, and this is the longest episode, but it still manages to find parts to expand and to flesh out, but they all feel very in character and very in keeping with the themes and the tone of the show. It's not as big and bombastic as Game of Thrones. It was never meant to be because it's a cozier story about one guy instead of a multi plotline thing. And so if you're looking for that big bombastic thing, wait for House of the Dragon to come out. But A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is an incredible story so far. And the first episode tells a very nice, succinct story on its own. So I love it. I am going to be looking forward to Sundays at 9 o'clock for myself because, yeah, again, I'm so excited. So we'll get the next episode of that on Sunday, and we get the final episode of Percy Jackson and the Olympians tomorrow. And we will talk about that probably on Sunday if schedules allow. We'll talk about that on Sunday with hopefully one or two more guests on the pod for you guys.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Anything you want to shout out before we hop off the podcast, Brandon?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything. Read Red Rising. Don't listen to me and my terrible trivia. And I will be caught up on Dunk and Egg or A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by the next time we talk. Don't worry.
And let's see. Anything else that I want to shout out? I don't think so. I think we've covered it all. If you want to tell the people where they can find you.
Yep, I'm on TikTok, Kuyan Reader. That's the main place to find me. I have a Discord. Everybody's welcome to it. Send me a message on TikTok and I'll give you a link. Just a bunch of, I say a bunch of, we're up to like 250 people.
I was going to say, it's gotten huge.
Yeah, book community. Just actually not even a book community, a bunch of readers who like to talk about other stuff. We talk about anime, manga, music, anything and everything.
Yeah, it all kind of gets covered. So it's awesome. I wish that I had more time to just hang out on there because it's so fun when I get to actually spend a little time on there.
It's a little daunting because there's so many people. So a lot of times I just kind of pop in, interject into a conversation, maybe ask a question. Like today, I just popped on and was like, who's read this book? I'm kind of curious. I want to get into more lit RPGs.
Yeah.
And so, there's always somebody in there that's read it and knows it. I mean, when you get 250 other readers, you can't beat it.
You're going to get people who have, I really want to get a D&D campaign going again, but I do fear that I absolutely have no time. So a little bit about me and my life and my schedule that's going to be happening is I'm about to have basically no time. So it's going to be like this podcast and maybe a few TikToks from me as far as content goes for the next 6 months because it's going to be my busy season. But I am very excited to continue this podcast through my busy season because, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. It's always fun to nerd out with you, Brandon.
Of course. Yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening to the pod. Thank you to our 3 live listeners that we've got. That's the most that we've had so far. So thank you guys so much, especially to you, Mr. Iron Tyrant. You are phenomenal. And I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. To everyone who is not listening or watching live, you guys are amazing. The podcast is doing very well on YouTube and on Spotify and stuff. So I appreciate all the love and support. It really makes this, as it's so much fun just to get to talk about it. But when people are listening and watching it, it makes it so much more worth it. So I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for letting me continue to do this and making it more fun to do it than it already is. Please be sure to go and check out Brandon. Yeah. Please be sure to go and check out Brandon at Kuyon Reader on TikTok and go join the Discord. It is so much fun. Be sure to check me out at the Oracle Podcast on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, probably mostly on TikTok because who has time for anything else? But I post a lot on TikTok. That's where everything goes. And then the stuff that does well gets posted onto YouTube and Instagram too. If you want a little peek behind the curtain at how I do some of that stuff. But yeah, everything gets thrown on TikTok and then the stuff that does well on there gets thrown on the other ones. So thank you guys again for listening. And that has been your prophecy.